Welcome to the Pandemic Talk Show. I'm Justin Kaufman. It is Thursday, May 14th, 2020. We got a jam-packed show, so let's begin. It is my pleasure to introduce one of the members of the great Chicago band, the Sunshine Boys, which a new album is out right now, Work in Love. It's amazing. Dog Julin is with us. He's going to perform. We'll do an interview a little bit later. Dog, take it away.
Thank you. I was riding so high till a shot split the sky and broke up my smoke-filled bubble. I wound up on the ground. I felt the perilous pound, the sound of a heart in trouble. If you feel dizzy and down, if you're now lost where you once were found, it's just the world turning round. The world turning round. It's just the world turning round. Turning around on you. Don't disturb the dreamers in flight as they glide through the night to flirt with the wine-spun moon. They go courting the muse, ignoring the news, snoring through afternoons. If you feel dizzy and down, if you're now lost where you once were found, it's just the world turning round. The world turning round. It's just the world turning round. Turning around on you. Oh, the simple becomes so hard when it catches you off guard. Right out of the blue, what can you do? What can you do? Backwards, tracing the lines, time after time is time spent the wrong way. It goes such a long way, goes back such a long way. It's just the world turning round, the world turning around. It's just the world turning round, turning around on you. World turning around, turning around on you, turning around on you, bearing down on you, spinning around on you.
Yeah. Dog Julin, of course, the band, the Sunshine Boys, the album Work in Love, the world turning round. We'll get back to Dog and some more performances later. It is the Pandemic Talk Show. It's live right now.
Live from Chicago, Illinois, it's the Pandemic Talk Show, featuring TJ Shanoff and the Stay-at-Home Orchestra. Today's guests, the Sunshine Boys, Jim DeRogatis, Calvin Evans, Dan White. And now for your host, Karl-Heinz Granitza, to my Arno Steffenhagen, Justin Kaufman.
Arno Steffenhagen. I'll take it. Do you guys see, I don't know if you could see it in the Zoom, how great I was at the air drums on that song? You know, like it's all Dog, he's doing all the stuff and he's singing the song, but I was doing some kick-ass air drumming there. I was really going crazy.
Very nice. You were like the guy from Def Leppard, but with two arms.
That band is awesome. The Sunshine Boys. Dog will be coming up a little bit later. Jackie Schimmel plays bass in that band. He's a longtime and great Chicago musician. Plays with Justin Roberts and other people. Frida Love Smith as well, the drummer for bands like the Blake Babies. Remember Blake Babies with Juliana Hatfield and Antenna? She was in the band Antenna. She's a drummer in the Sunshine Boys. And so we'll talk with Dog a little bit more coming up in the show. We got a great show lined up today. It's Thursday. You know, we do shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday here. So this is our casual Friday, as you can see by what shirt you got today. What do we got today? Goldie, what are you wearing here?
72-10. Don't mean a thing without the ring.
How many bull shirts do you have?
I have far too many bull shirts. And I'm just riding the wave of The Last Dance. I understand after this is the last weekend of The Last Dance.
Yeah.
I might, go back to some normal wardrobe. But for me, I think I have about 18 bull shirts.
That's a lot of bull shirts.
That's
I feel like I feel like I threw out too many bull shirts in my life. I feel like there were times when I might have had like the caricature three-peat shirt, that one that was in the mid-90s. And I feel like it's not part of the wardrobe anymore.
I have those at my mom's house somewhere. Yeah. Maybe her boyfriend's wearing them. I don't know.
Could be. What's the question of the day? We interact, we engage with all of our listeners, on our viewers on Facebook and YouTube, and you're on top of that. So what do we want to ask them today?
I think Wisconsin opened up yesterday. We saw a flood of people went into the bars, and the question of the day for us is, for Chicagoans, forget the moral and ethical questions about lockdowns and whatnot. But if the bars were to open today, what bar are you going to tonight? What Chicago establishment, tavern, pub, ale house, whatnot? Where are you going?
That's a good question. I guess I would. I mean, it's different tastes for different times, But I would say the best bar for any time is the bar that's in the Ogilvy Metro Station. That is where the Hallmark store was. Like they just said it's a kiosk, and then they turned it into a bar. So it's like an old shitty train station Hallmark, but now it's a bar. It's the best bar. It's the transient. It's a lot of misery. It's a lot of great misery watching.
That's where you put a Bud Light into a paper bag on your way back to Bolingbrook.
Yeah, but see, what you do is you actually go in and sit down. You could get the bag and get out of there, but if you stay for a drink or two, you meet some people, man. Some people from LaGrange. That's all I can say. Oh, all right. So it's a great question. TJ Shanoff, how are you, buddy? That's
fuck. I can't do it. But
TJ,
what?
What bar would you be going to?
Dispensary 33.
Okay, that's a good one.
Or MedMed.
How about you, Goldie?
I'm going to the Map Room for a little buffet action and some beer, and then I would go to the Ale House. Hopefully Claudio would show up, and I'd get some tamales and close out the night sometime around 4 a.m.
All right, you got a whole plan. It's not just going to be a one-stop shop.
Well, I mean, if they're going to open up the bars, I'm going to my two favorite. Map Room and the Ale House are my two favorite bars.
TJ Shanoff, there you go.
No, and I'm going to sing a song in a second, but for real, the bar at the Hilton or the Sheraton are where I do all my dirty deeds. What I'm talking about. Speaking of which, who remembers Suzanne Vega? This hit from 10 minutes ago. If you're not wearing a face mask, then you're probably a jag bag, and you think states should reopen because you want a fucking haircut. The Supreme Court in Wisconsin's filled with anti-science fools. Turn Sean Hannity the fuck off and renounce your love of Trump. You're dumb, 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 da dum, dumb, 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 da dum, dumb, fucking dumb. I'm tired of dumb people.
Wow, that was amazing, man.
Friday! Yeah! Friday!
The acoustics
better get ready.
That tub acoustics are killing it. You sound great.
We can record in Dolby Atmos here, so when this all goes away, I'll be renting out my bathroom to anybody who's serious about music.
I can't wait for the segment when we have a guest who doesn't show up. We'll just go through the different shampoos that you have behind you.
Oh, they're very pricey shampoos, Justin.
All right, let's get to the show. We got a great show. Jim DeRogatis is here today. I can't wait to talk with Jim. Talk about a great piece he had in the New Yorker yesterday or the day before about underground, sweaty punk rock and other rock clubs and whether or not they're going to come back. And we'll talk with him about how real that situation is. Calvin Evans, great stand-up comedian here in Chicago, is going to join us. And we'll get more from Doug as well from Sunshine Boys. We did mention The Last Dance, which is awesome. And it's going to be the wrap-up this weekend. But, for all the stars we've been talking about, whether it's Jordan or Pippen, Kukoc, Phil Jackson, Jerry Krause, whoever it might be, the real stars has been a security detail from Michael Jordan. And joining us now, Mike Dubecki, who was head of Michael Jordan security at the United Center for years. He joins us now to shed some light on some of the things The Last Dance might be missing. Mike, welcome to the Pandemic Talk Show. Yes.
Hello.
And now, from security, Mike Dubecki. Mike, you got to turn your video on.
There it is.
Here we go.
There it is.
Bulls, baby.
Really,
I see we all got our bull swag on.
Yeah.
How are you guys? Thanks for having me.
Mike, so we saw a lot of the security. I mean, they almost became the folklore heroes of The Last Dance, the security squad that was hanging around Michael Jordan. So how does it feel to be sort of folkloric, if you will?
You know, it's great. I've been watching The Last Dance. Fantastic programming. Very different than the Bulls I knew, than the Michael Jordan I know. It's, you know, he's getting a reputation on this show as being this kind of alpha male, uber confident, you know, ice water in his veins. That's not the Michael that I knew. Okay.
Okay, well,
Michael I knew, very shy, didn't have a lot of self-confidence.
It seems weird. I mean, I feel like everyone who's in Chicago knows him to be the opposite, right? I mean, I wouldn't think
Nope,
that's
not true. Not true.
Are you sure you weren't dealing with another Michael Jordan, like Michael B. Jordan?
No, big Michael B. Jordan fan though. Now, but Michael Jordan, you guys got to understand, you know, it was all an image. It was crafted for the fans. You know, behind the scenes, he was not a very confident guy. You know, the shot, you guys all remember, everyone remembers the shot, right?
The shot.
Yeah, sure, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Before the shot, you know, they called a play. He looks up at me, goes, "Dupes, they want me to take the shot." I go, "That's great," you know, and he goes, "Well, what if I miss? I got this whole team. They're gonna call me Michael Jordo." I go, "What are you talking about? They're calling you Michael Jordo." I mean, "You're Michael Jordan. Make the shot," you know. He was scared. He was scared. He said, you know, it took him a while to get his confidence on the court. You know, I think after the 5th championship, he kind of started thinking, I can do this. You know,
Right.
I think I can be a good basketball player, you know, but up until that time, people don't understand. He wasn't the confident guy they make him out to be.
It is true. If you go back and see the games, you see Jordan before the big moments in his career, look over to the security detail and
That's
have
true.
conversations with him. Yeah. You
Yep.
do see
I
it.
used to
You
hold
just
his
never talk about it.
keys. I used to hold his keys during the game.
What are some of the other things that the security detail would do? I mean, because we see it, you guys are playing quarters back there with him, doing other competitive things in The Last Dance. But what are some of the things that you and MJ were doing back in the day?
Well, I tried on all of his suits to make sure that they didn't fit. That was kind of my number one responsibility. You know, he wore those big suits. People think it was like a style thing. He was embarrassed by his muscles. That's what the big suits were all about. So, you know, I used to take those. I used to have to fold those. Each suit took about 4 duffel bags. I needed 4 duffel bags per suit because there was so much fabric in these suits, you know. And, you know, we just hung out. You know, I was, you know, we were just buddies. You know, you see that in The Last Dance. They're hanging out behind the scenes. That's what we did, you know. And he was a nice guy.
So he was shy and he's also a nice guy. Those are two things that The Last Dance seems to contradict. Are there other things in the Last Dance that they're getting wrong?
You know, you know, they don't talk a lot about this, but he was terrified to do Space Jam. He did not want to do that film. People don't realize he came up and he said, "Dudes, I got this script. I love the script." He goes, "It's a great script," but he goes, "What the fans think I'm a Looney Tune?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? The fans think you're a Looney Tune. You're Michael Jordan." He goes, "If the fans see it, there's all cartoons on screen. They're gonna think I'm a cartoon." I said, "Michael, come on. You get it. You're the real basketball player. You're playing with them." He looks at me and goes, "Dubes, if people think I'm a Looney Tune, I swear to God, I'll kill myself."
Jeez, wow. This is stuff
I
I'm
know.
surprised they didn't get. They did
I
all this stuff behind the scenes with some of the security detail, and they
Yeah.
didn't talk to you.
Didn't talk to me, didn't interview me once. Because, you know, he's in behind the project. He wants to craft it, make himself out to be the legendary jump man. But that's not who he was, you know?
So you were like the wind beneath his wings, is what you're saying.
I was
You
his
were-
confidant. Yes, I knew all the back, you know, all the secrets.
Mike,
you know,
I got a
behind the
question. I mean, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's legendary. Jordan, they don't talk about it much in the documentary, but he wasn't like a faithful husband. He was a gambler. I mean, did you ever see him indulge in any of these behaviors, or did you get involved in any way?
I watched him lose $80,000 to Steve Kerr's son in a single tic-tac-toe match. And he beat the shit out of the kid. I mean, he was intense. He didn't mess around, you know, with that stuff. You know, he was mad, you know. But he was still, he's, next day he sends him a basketball. That's who he was. He was a nice guy, he did
Nice
those things.
guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm for one.
Justin,
and-
I got a quick question for Mike, who seems like he's been around Jordan forever. He's obviously a gear collector. That's an original Bulls hat.
This is the hat that Jordan wore when he signed with the Bulls rookie season. This is it. He gave it to me as a present.
So much has changed so
Yeah.
much has changed. We forget how simple
he's
it
a
is.
jump man, Like he
Well,
started a lot.
it's not as good of a documentary without Mike Dubecki, and who was one of the head security guys for Michael Jordan back at the UC back in the day. Mike, thanks for taking some time out to talk to us on the Pandemic Talk Show.
Hey, thanks, guys. Thank you guys so much. Hey, he never pooped at the United Center. He was embarrassed. You didn't hear it from me.
Nobody wants to poop at the United Center. I know that. I would rather.
Poop at the United Center.
Way better pooping at the UC than the stadium.
True.
If you're going to make a
Right.
poop choice, United Center is way above Chicago Stadium toilets.
If you walked
That should
into
be
a
the next
stall
question.
at the stadium, you were likely to interrupt some sort of either a drug deal or an argument over a horse race at Sportsman's earlier in the day. I would stay out of that bathroom at the
Stay
stadium.
out of the bathroom. That is a good question of the day for maybe next week, is about where's the best place to go to the bathroom in Chicago sports.
Ooh.
Where if you had to go, if your stomach's like, oh no, I gotta go to the bathroom, which building do you want to be in? Probably
You
United.
get way more peace and quiet at the cell than you do at our home.
Right.
I was going to say,
No one there.
talk your way into a skybox. Just
That's
act
the
with lots of confidence and just get your way into a skybox and then do your business.
That guy looked a lot like Dan White. He's a great Chicago comedian, but Dubecki is Dubecki. That's who he is. So, all right, moving on. Let's get a read in, and then let's get D-Row in here. We'll talk about his article.
Well, it is almost 420, and today, Chicago's own Green Thumb Industries became the first U.S. cannabis company to report over $100 million in quarterly revenues, and GrownIn.com is the news and information resource for those in the cannabis industry and those looking to learn more. Grown In is a proud sponsor of the Pandemic Talk Show and a terrific place for you to learn about the ins and outs of Illinois' newest essential industry. Be in the know and get in the grow with Grown In. Subscribe today at grownin.com. And that's the read, but we can keep going. There we go. Everybody good? I didn't give you enough time to go to the bathroom.
I was getting water. That's one thing about this quarantine that I when it wasn't quarantine, I was all yuppied up where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna distill this water. I'm gonna filter this water. And now that ship has sailed by living in this house nonstop, I'm back to Chicago Tap, and I'm sure I got lead poisoning on the brain because I'm drinking a ton of this stuff. I don't know about you guys.
Cleanest water in the world, Chicago Tap water.
Which doesn't say much for the world.
My next guest is award-winning journalist and a longtime columnist in different places in Chicago. Also the author, the great book on R. Kelly, which just came out. He had an article in the New Yorker about whether or not nightclubs are going to survive, but not just nightclubs, that underground, sweaty, rock club that we all grew up with, whether or not those are going to survive COVID. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jim DeRogatis to the Pandemic Talk Show. Yeah.
Hello, Justin. How are you?
Good, buddy. Turn that video on. You're just about ready. I can't wait to see it.
Yes. There you go.
My man, there he is. What's up, buddy?
I ordered a pair of those clippers from Amazon. I watched a video on the Tribune. I watched a video on the New York Times. They had diametrically opposed advice. Now I look like you or Vince D'Onofrio in Full Metal Jacket.
This is where I have an advantage over everybody. I've been doing my own hair for the last couple of years. It don't matter.
There
You
you
guys
go.
are all screwed. You guys can't figure it out. How are you, buddy? Are you sheltered in place?
I am, I'm in the home office. We just recorded 2.5 episodes of the radio show from
Sound Opinions, great show.
It's tough. I was my 3 classes at Columbia College had to go online. It sucks. This is vastly inferior. It's better to get you this way than to have no Justin, but it would be far better for us to be at the bar.
Yeah, that's true. It's always a pleasure when you run into Jim and the band, Fortis, anyone else in Chicago bars and music venues. Your piece this week in New Yorker was really about the death or possible death, or at least we're ringing the bell on these underground clubs that really are so truly human when you think about it. And it's been beyond America. I mean, it's all over the world that these clubs of different music venues that seem to, because of their nature, kind of they slip under the radar, and they're the kind of clubs that we may not see when we come out of this.
you know that world from comedy. You know, the grassroots club scene where people work out their stuff, where they build a reputation, where they build a following, and even if they never get anywhere and don't become famous like Justin Kaufman, or don't graduate like the Smashing Pumpkins did to world superstardom, it is about community, and that is, I think, where the heart and soul of Chicago music and music anywhere exists. You know, you used to give me a fair amount of guff when you were my editor at WBEZ. We were doing the blog, you know, for harping on Lollapalooza, for harping on Live Nation. You know, hey Jim, it's just a big party. It may not be your thing. What's the problem? The problem, Justin, is the same problem that we are seeing today with the big meat industry packing plants, with the Walmarts of the world, with the CVSs, in that our mom and pop drugstore, our mom and pop hardware store, our mom and pop musical venue, you know, have been threatened by corporations and gentrification and, you know, these insidious forces that have built up in America. They're the places that knew our name. They're the places that cared about us. And when they're gone, what do we have left?
Right.
You know, so it's dire right now. You know, places like the Hideout or the Empty Bottle or Sleeping Village, Metro, you know, whether they can exist if or when the universe opens again at a third of their capacity or less, taking temperatures and social distancing, you know, but look, let me be optimistic. You know, my former intern, Jenny Grandy, came to me as a Smashing Pumpkins super fan. Can I file your records, Mr. DeRogatis? Is now a lawyer working for the Federal Reserve, right? Some people get smart and leave rock and roll. She's a history buff like me. She said, remember the 1918 pandemic was followed by the Roaring 20s. It is possible we will emerge from this, who knows when. The testimony on Capitol Hill today about the bleakest winter in American history looming is horrifying. Maybe we emerge from this with no more Lollapalooza. Was it ever a good idea to have 100,000 drunken frat boy bros with roofies in their pocket, puking in Grant Park, listening to Rage Against the Machine? No more Lollapalooza. You know, in the middle of this, you know, Live Nation, the giant corporate global concert promoter that would like to stamp out any venue they don't control. Did you catch the news? It was buried because, you know, the world ended. They sold a third of the stake of that company to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia now owns a third of the biggest concert promoter in the world. Saudi Arabia, which kills journalists. Yeah. You know, I mean, maybe.
But I want to go on the record too, because I was always behind you on the Lollapalooza stuff. I was never a fan of that. You would get mad at me because I'd be like, R. Kelly's cool.
That's true.
That was when you got mad at me. When I'm like, what's wrong with R. Kelly?
I mean, there were times when the president of Live Nation wrote to then chief of BEZ, Allison Shawley,
right.
You know, and one in my head. And that was the same when I was at the Sun-Times. You know, you take on the forces that are making money for people, whether it's R. Kelly or Live Nation. And, you know, they see cranky old Jim. It's time to put that guy out to pasture. I feel vindicated in many ways these days, let me tell you.
Yeah, you are. Well, let me ask you about right now, because there's a push. You've seen this hashtag Save Our Stages.
Yeah.
You see a national lobbying movement. I had Gomez from Subterranean B Kitchen on my show at BZ. Yeah. Like this idea that they're trying to mobilize to be an industry, to be an independent league industry. Will that work? Will that grab the attention of Congress or the Senate or any of these big political players to save what they consider to be, I don't know, extra?
You never know. I mean, if anybody can do it, Chicago had to take the lead. And it was those wonderful heart and soul people, Tim and Katie Tutton. You know, because of the post-E2 fallout, the onerous rules imposed on Chicago live music, you know, clubs have had to come together in a way in this city that they never did in other cities. And then that was followed, of course, by the Live Nation and gentrification, and the Tuttons have been fighting Lincoln Yards, and, you know, Lollapalooza's been sucking all the air out with their radius clauses imposed on bands. So Chicago organized, you know, great Haymarket riot tradition way before anybody else in the nation did. And now Audrey Schaefer in particular works for 930 Club and those promoters out there. They run the Merriweather Post Pavilion in Maryland. You know, when the merger was being considered between Live Nation and Ticketmaster 20 years ago, there were only 3 promoters in the whole country that went to Capitol Hill to say this is a very bad idea. And that was Jam in Chicago and the folks in DC, IMP, and John Scher in New York. Now, Rahm Emanuel was Barack Obama's chief of staff, and his brother sat on the board of directors of Live Nation, and it gets the green light. And it was the most destructive thing that's happened to live music in this country ever. You know, it could have been stopped then. It might be able to be stopped now. What was interesting about those hearings, why I brought them up, is you had people on the far right, Orrin Hatch, who made several pop albums. Can you believe it? He was a gospel singer, a Mormon. Orrin Hatch has several albums. They're streaming on Spotify, for God's sake. Orrin Hatch, and then people on the left, Chuck Schumer, were both opposed to that merger, but it went through. It is quite, sometimes, I hate to say this, but sometimes some of these right-wing jagoffs, as we'd say in Chicago, your Rand Pauls, also like their Rage Against the Machine, like go figure, So if Capitol Hill, it would be a drop in the bucket compared to what the airlines are going to get, or the meat industry, or anybody else could come up with something, because the payroll protection program, is 6 or 8 weeks. And you think about the 2,000 bartenders, bouncers, club owners, sound engineers that have lost their jobs in Chicago alone. 2 months ain't going to do it. It's going to be 6 to 9 months to a year before these clubs can open because of the booking and the difficulties they face. It's going to need a bailout. I'd feel much better about bailing them out than bailing Boeing or Tesla out or just about anybody else. But, there's going to be competition on Capitol Hill, and whether they're heard or not, who knows? Yeah,
right. My last question for you just has to do with the punk rock aesthetic. Like, I think of places in Chicago and some of the clubs, and I'm trying to think of the Fireside Bowl and other places that
Liars Club,
Liars Club, who almost aren't really necessarily a part of the hideout in the metros. They're almost the second level. They're underground. They're anti. In this world order where they're not going to be thought of at all, will they risk health and safety and guidelines and that kind of stuff to continue to bring us that kind of opportunity? If I want to go be shirtless and sweaty in a mosh pit in the basement of the Liars Club, will that still be there for me?
I don't think that any, given the mountain of regulations any Chicago bar owner has to face, I don't think anybody in Chicago, A, is that immoral, and B, is that stupid. I think that if that infrastructure is devastated, what we will see is a return to basement shows, VFW halls. I got a roof people can play on here at Irving and Elston. It'll be harder, right? It'll be harder. Right. It won't be as much fun. But I think the responsible business owners will figure out a way around it. I think actually in my more optimistic moments, I think the big corporations will wither and die, because nobody's ever going to look at 15 or 20,000 people in one place as safe again. Whereas the cap number I'm seeing on some of the Illinois state planning is 50. Well, I don't know. My band's never played for more than 50 people. And I don't know how many shows Schadenfreude had that had more than 50.
I know, 50 would be a great night. It's
a great crowd. I'm going to buy everybody a drink.
That's true. That's a good way to look at it. Jim DeRogatis, the great journalist in Chicago, Sound Opinions host, author, and everything else in between. I got to have you back because we have so much more to talk about.
Hey,
Jim,
Justin,
I am yours anytime.
Okay.
That other place downtown, I was a little hinky on visiting.
Can we just say, as a fan, Jim, I mean, been reading it for years, obviously, but your work with the R. Kelly situation specifically is some of the best music writing. I know it transcends way beyond music, but thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. Yeah, I was supposed to get a Lifetime Achievement Award tomorrow night from the Lissagors, the Chicago Headline Club. That got canceled, of course.
Yeah, right.
They called me up and they said, would you be offended? And I was like, Monty Python. I was thinking of Justin Kaufman, the comedian. I was like, Lifetime Achievement? I'm not quite dead yet.
But you have had a lifetime of achievements. That's good. So
I'm always more excited about the next story, the next show.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, there will be more stories. Jim DeRogatis, thanks, buddy.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, there you go. Jim DeRogatis. Give it up for him, man. I love that guy. We
I
worked
don't know if this is
together,
a
yeah,
bad time to mention that we recently sold out a quarter of the show to the government of Saudi Arabia as
That's right.
well.
But that's okay. That's this Zoom. Zoom is different. I mean, if you're selling out live music shows to Saudi Arabia, that's different, right?
Very different.
You got a very Saudi Arabia look going on down there, TJ.
TJ's prepared.
Look at what is that blanket you got on? What is,
The Bush administration had nothing to do with 9/11. They didn't cause it, okay?
looks good.
The pandemic talk show is an inside job. And you know what? People are feeling more isolated than ever, especially families who are currently facing a cancer diagnosis. As the world's largest peer-to-peer cancer support organization, Imerman Angels provides free one-on-one support to cancer fighters, survivors, previvors, and caregivers anywhere throughout the world. Utilizing a unique matching process, Imerman Angels connects support seekers to mentor angels via phone, text, or email, ensuring nobody needs to leave the safety of their homes. In these times of uncertainty and anxiety, the need for emotional and psychosocial support is absolutely critical. If you or someone you love is impacted by cancer, please encourage them to call 877-274-5529 or register online at immermanangels.org to get connected to someone who's been in their shoes.
That's great.
And,
All
Justin,
right, there we go.
I thought before we segue out of this,
Yeah,
we
what
could
else we
check
got?
in on the people
Yeah, what do we
at
got?
the bars. Well, we've got people saying, well, like Brad said, the Hotsy Totsy, which sadly closed. It's now next door to CVS, and I think it's condos. Adam Witt seems to like the Ogilvy Metro Station Bar too. Scott Cooper loves
I've taken there.
Pub. Megan Schwartz wants to go to Hooters.
Where is Scott? I miss Scott. Where's Scott want to go?
Scott wants to go to Miller's Pub downtown.
That's
One of
good, yeah,
the great old Chicago spots.
Great ribs.
Adam Witt says Oakwood 83. Lisa Durbin says might as well add the original mothers. Melvin says Mike Dubecki definitely parties at Applebee's. And Mike Silverman wants to drink at Jerry Krause's home, which would be morbid since he's dead. Brad says the Cadillac Club. Jennifer Goldberg, the Metro, a great spot, which ties in both to the music and bar.
That's
theme.
right. Yeah, I'm always find myself, one of the bars I love the most is the Hideout because I played there a lot, see
Great
shows.
bar.
But man, to hang out there at the bar after a show is a delight. Also,
If
there's
you-
a place. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jess. I was going to say also the Hilton in Northbrook has a great local Chicago dive bar, baby.
TJ's a hotel bar guy. I'm a dive bar guy. Justin likes a dive bar. TJ,
I like, I'll take a fancy bar. I'll go if we want to split it up. I'll do a little West Loop bar. Walk in there and spend $22 on a cocktail. That's what they're going to do too. They're going to open up and be like, hey, now we got this COVID tax. The cocktail's going to be 27.
I'm just glad I aged out of leaving the house before I couldn't.
All right, our next guest is a great Chicago stand-up comedian. He just was all over TV. He's just left Chicago to move to LA. Actually, he just got to LA, right? That's what you're telling me, TJ, that he flew today from Chicago to Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Calvin Evans. Yes. There he is. What's up?
Hey,
How you doing, Calvin?
Hey,
I'm
Calvin.
good,
Hey, Calvin.
Good. So you were on a plane today?
I was on a plane. It
was
wasn't that bad. It
No.
wasn't that bad at all. I mean, everybody was covered up. Everybody had masks on. I mean, it's like flying with a bunch of hypochondriacs. Like we should be fine. Like they did a good job making sure that everybody was covered up, and they handed out stuff that people didn't have. So it was fine.
Was it packed or was the flight easy or how was it different?
There's no direct flights, so I had to fly to Charlotte, then to Chicago, and then to Charlotte back to LA. So the one flight was like half full, but the flight coming to LA was full.
Okay.
So I think they condensed the flight so they won't be sending empty planes across the country.
Right. So you are now living in Los Angeles. You're a Chicago guy. So how's that transition been to go and get yourself in front of some people as this is happening right now in Hollywood?
It's not happening. It's not happening at all. Everything is shut down. I mean, everything is shut down. So it's like just as you guys are doing, just finding creative ways to get your art out, to get your to scratch the itch. So I've just started doing shows, live shows on like Facebook and Instagram. But just being in LA, like right now, there is no everything has come to a complete halt. So there's no work, no anything.
I was going to say a lot of what you move to LA and you get a chance to play at the different clubs there, which is great, and get in front of agents and managers and also executives in any form. Are they making a transition? Is there a transition where Hollywood is like, all right, we need to go to Zoom and check out comedians? Or are they just like, we're not doing business for months?
What it feels like is, it feels like certain people are trying to create like social media content, the Comedy Centrals, mostly like a lot of the Viacom umbrella, Viacom, MTV, Comedy Central, BT. I've done some stuff with them, and I think people are right now trying to figure out like what can we do, because we can't get people together to actually film shows anymore. So I think right now stuff is happening, but there isn't like any hard like this is what we're gonna do. I think everybody's still hopeful that they'll just get back to normal life.
For you as a stand-up, a lot of your work has to be about observations in your life and obviously relating with the audience. This is a topic that's relatable, not necessarily funny, but are you finding the humor in what the whole world is experiencing right now?
I'm not. I think I found I call my comedy observational philosophy, so I make sense of things. So I think now just being around the people that I'm around every single day, I'm starting to notice things that I otherwise wouldn't. I don't really have I'm not really too much talking about the pandemic. I feel like it's kind of like what stand-up wise, I feel like everybody's has and it's overlap, so I don't want anything to do with it. But I'm noticing like on a social level, I'm finding comedy in that.
Well, we've been doing a bit on the show where we have stand-ups on the show who we want to offer our services as an audience workshop, because you're doing quarantine jokes, you're trying stuff out, you're not sure if it works. So if you got any stuff you're working on, we're here for you, man. Try it out on us.
This is something I experienced. Like my girlfriend, she just she get on me for always playing PS4. I'm always, and it's not a lot. It just so happened when she passed the room, I'm playing the game, and I'm just like what you don't realize is that right now I'm living my dream. I play NBA 2K probably 2 hours. I have no chance of making NBA. But right now on 2K, I got a shoe contract. I'm sponsored by Beats. I'm getting 4,500 coins every appearance that I make. I'm living I don't bother you when you watching makeup tutorials and you playing make believe FaceTime. I don't come in there and oh, you playing in makeup. I'm just let me imagine who I want to be, and you get to draw who you want to be on your face. Just let me live. And then she go out she get to go out in the real world, and people comment, oh, your makeup, so she think. I'm like, that's not fair. You take your make believe into the real world. People ask me what I'm doing later. I'm like, oh, I'm playing the Pistons tonight. I got another guy. I'm not doing it. So it's not just let me live my dreams. I play football, player back. I can sell drugs. And if they come out with a pop star game, I could be the biggest singer in the world. Just let me live my dreams. This is I feel like that's what you don't understand. A lot of women just don't understand. We live in our dreams on this game. I'm not playing Tetris. That's a game. This is my life. This is my real life that's happening right now.
I relate to that. I relate to that.
I like that.
I'm a point guard with handles in that game. There are things I can do in that game. I would hurt myself in a dream.
It's so true. I can't tell you how many times my wife has been like, you've been playing that game for 2.5 hours. I'm like, you know what? We're not even to the playoffs yet. You need to calm down. Let me do this. And
it's so real that when something happens, I'm yelling at the TV, I get a bad call or something happens. It's real to me. You understand what I'm saying? It's real. You don't understand.
It's real.
You don't ever come in here and be like, yeah, you're right. The game is cheap. You don't ever try to include yourself in. Understand. Let this be a part of our lives, not just mine. I feel like it's not fair. It's an unfair assessment of video games.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's a good bit. I'd say that's a good bit. TJ, good bit.
TJ frozen for real, or
you never tell with TJ.
TJ paused the game for a minute to go step outside. Was
totally
TJ
good bit.
For real?
Good bit. Well, Calvin, what are you doing for gigs? I know that you just did a Facebook Live or a Zoom. So what do you got coming up?
I'm doing another one. Well, I'm doing a show. It's a Chicago-based show, Parlor Car. I'm doing that show tonight, and then I'm doing my show again. I call it Dirty 30, where it's just untested 30 minutes of material. I'm trying to do that consistently just to get ideas out, just to keep my mind working, while everything's shut down. So when things start back up, I can have a, new 15 to 20 minutes from all of this.
Well, I for one, am looking forward for this shit to be over so we can see you on TV and sitcoms, wherever you're going to be, because you're hilarious. And like I said, like Chicago, even though you're not in Chicago anymore, you're a Chicago guy. Calvin Evans, thank you so much for joining the Pandemic Talk Show. Thanks for being here, bud.
All right, man.
Great seeing you,
Calvin.
Calvin.
Good to see
well,
you.
man.
You too, DJ. Y'all take it easy.
Good, man.
I watched a lot of his work today. Because he's got a lot of clips online. You check it out. He's got a lot of stuff. He was just in that Kenan Thompson show, the one that was Bring the Funny. That was where it was kind of like America's Got Talent, but it was for stand-ups.
Yeah, he's great. TJ and I got to work with him at Anthony Rizzo's charity event a couple of years ago, and he just killed it.
He's I don't know if I should be admitting this on the air. He's so versatile. He does a ton of like corporate and sketch improv for Second City's corporate division. And he's able to slay audiences doing PG stuff, and equally able to slay audiences at clubs doing his own thing.
That's
You don't see that kind of versatility all the time.
Yeah,
He's
absolutely, and be able to go into those kind of different forms too.
Yeah,
that's great. All right, well, let's bring Doc Julin back. He was at the beginning of the show with Sunshine Boys. They got a new album out called Work and Love, and Doc Julin joins us now for a little talk, and we're gonna get one more performance out of it as well. Doc Julin, welcome back to the show. How are you, buddy?
Fellas,
Good to see
great
you.
show.
I like I said right at the top. I love the album. I think it's great.
Are you talking about Work and Love?
I'm talking about Work and Love. There it is. Look at that.
I hope
What's
Jim
different about
DeRogatis
this
is
work?
still watching as he talks about the strength of mom and pop organizations and independent music. Jim, here's our second album in 2 years.
I bet you Jim knows all about it, right? What's the difference between this work and the work you guys did before?
I'm sorry, what's the difference?
What's the difference on this album from the work that you did before?
Well,
Like how you-
the one of the differences that is that we recorded it featuring Frida, our drummer, Frida Love Smith, had some serious back surgery done, and as a result, it changed her drum setup to a standing kit, a very small standing drum kit, and so that was a style that we kind of had to adapt to as she emerged from that surgery, and we kind of had to redefine our sound in a little way, I think, or just got used to fewer drums and stuff. But I think that this album, you probably, I don't think you could really tell that was how.
No, I couldn't. And if anything, I thought that the sound, and maybe that's part of it, but I felt like the sound was it harkened back to like the music. I love the indie rock music of the 90s and 2000, early 2000s, but just as a more stripped down, not to say you weren't doing that before, but it had that vibe. You can almost feel that it was in the same vibe as some of the work that you guys have been involved with. In the past.
Yeah, that's definitely where our roots are, as musicians and as listeners, I think, is that kind of direct melodic pop. This album has a few more colors to it. It's got some strings provided by my bandmate in Point Out Pondering, Susan Vels, put strings on 3 of the tunes, and this one's got some touches of acoustic guitar and piano and things like that. So the sound is kind of evolved in that way.
When I first met you guys, there was a vibe that it was sort of like a super group coming together, because you all have been in parts of different bands throughout time, and it was definitely a project as part of what you guys are doing now. To listening to it now and what you guys are doing, has it evolved? Is this your main project? Is this now the band of record for Doc Julin, for Frida Love Smith, for Jackie Schimmel?
Yeah, in terms of original music, for sure. Yeah, I've got a cover band called Expo 76, and we did play all the time. We had residences at Simon's and over at Fitzgerald's and stuff like that. So I played quite a bit with them, and we will return to that hopefully at some point. But in terms of original music and stuff, for me, this is where I've been putting my energy for the past few years.
And I'll ask the same question. It seems to fall in every interview we do here. It's just about, what are you doing to adjust? I mean, are you finding yourself doing this kind of stuff more, like Zoom shows and performing?
Yeah, what I'd like to see more of is a guy with a guitar on Facebook. I think it's been kind of
a white guy with a guitar on Facebook.
Yeah, the white guy with guitar gap. I'm looking to spearhead that. So, but honestly, I I work from home anyway. This is my work rig. I do podcasts with Steve Dahl every day. And so I've been working from home since we got bounced off the radio. I don't know if anyone can relate to what that's like, but getting bounced off the radio.
Right. Yeah. I got a feel for it.
Yeah. So I've been doing this, and in that regard, it's kind of not different. But I have all the I don't mind having a few. I live in Woodstock, which is far away, so I do quite a lot of driving as part of my.
I know you lived out there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I grew up in Wonder Lake, right next door.
Oh no,
That's the
kidding!
groundhog.
Hung out in Woodstock, Illinois, my whole childhood. Yeah.
No kidding.
That's where they did Groundhog Day, guys.
That's where they did Groundhog Day, and it's it's a big part of the tourism out here and stuff like that, and me, of course. But
yeah, of course, right.
No, I don't.
That's right.
I don't mind. I don't miss the driving so much, but I'm getting antsy, man. I want to play. I want to go back to Simon's and have a beer and do a gig, But
well, hopefully that's coming soon.
Yeah.
The album's called Work and Love. The band, the Sunshine Boys, Doc Julin, Jackie Schimmel, and Frida Love Smith. Great Chicago musicians who have really had an impact on so much of the music that we grew up with, and also the music that continues to be produced. Doc, you've got one more in you. We'd love to hear one more.
Yes, for sure.
Let you go. What do you got? What are we going to hear?
This is from the new record. It's called The Serpent in Spring.
All right. Here's Doc Julin, Sunshine Boys.
Here come the new rules. Here comes the war. Here comes the wondering what it's all for. Here's the distraction. There is the lie. Here's the blinding of the critical eye. The critical eye is starting to sting. The lion in winter and the serpent in the spring. Here is the headline, there is the news, and where the truth lies is all yours to choose. August is freezing, December is warm. If you wanna speak out, you gotta fill out a form, meet the new norm, where suspicion is king. The lion in winter and the serpent in spring. And the fault line divides the common ground. It's just the same as the plane goes round and round and round and round and round and round and round. There is the promise that will not be kept. And here's the cheap rug under which it gets swept. This is the golden age of the meaningless word. And all the hatred gets so lovingly stirred, blurred to a boil as reason takes wing. The lion in winter and the serpent in spring. The lion in winter and the serpent in spring.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, nice work. Doc
Thank you.
Julin, the band, the Sunshine Boys, the new album, Work and Love. Doc, that was awesome, man. Thanks for being a part of the Pandemic Talk Show, buddy.
Thanks so much, Justin. Great to see you. Nice to see you.
Great to see you too. Yes.
Thanks
All right.
so
that's gonna do
much.
it. Thank you so much. That's going to do it for the show.
Yeah.
Man, what a great show. Again, comedy. We were talking real with DeRogatis, railing against the man. Always good with Jim. Little Doc Jewel in there for some performances. TJ with his amazing Suzanne Vega cover.
Yeah,
good.
you know, I got to do something. Nobody told me my Hamilton tickets weren't good.
Just showed up there. You're like, hey,
Froze again. DJ froze again.
Or did I?
Well, D33 seems to be doing the job for you, buddy.
Friday!
And
all right, that's going to do it. We don't do shows on Friday. We're back on Tuesday. Coming up. Friday. The band Beach Bunny's going to join us. Eddie Furman's going to be with us. Kate James at some point. Mars Timms. We got a lot of great people next week. So join us on Tuesday as we come back with another week of the Pandemic Talk Show. Thanks to Mike Fouché for producing. Goldie, TJ Shanoff. Have a great weekend, guys.
Last dance, last time.
Friday!
Jennifer Goldberg, to answer your question, Mr. Shanoff is drinking, as always, Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy. Have a great weekend.
I'm going to want more money. I'm not fucking around. I want more fucking money! Are we
TJ,
on?
we're
Oh,
live.
God. Oh, God. Well, we'll do it live.